Hey guys, I thought that the rising electricity and gas prices were my only trouble. Turns out it's not true. This is my first trouble. Problem number 2. 11 radiators waiting for those valves to be installed in the middle of winter. A couple of weeks ago I received a call from Shelly from Bulgaria. No, not this Shelly.
Hello, my friend. I hear you like Zigbee thermostats, right? It would be a shame if something happened to them.
So I've got Shelly TRV early, and since I've got it in my hands, I thought I would share my unbiased opinion. So now I'm in a big predicament, because on one side I do have 11 Zigbee thermostats waiting to be installed. And I've been pushing it back forever, mostly because A, it is a winter and a heating season, B, it's hard to convince partner that we should do it mid-winter because YouTube is waiting. And C, I have to fish out another 10 quid on a single unit like this, times 11, that's another £100 just to invest into a system that I'm yet to develop. And it is a big job, it requires a plumber being booked in and all the valves being exchanged, etc, etc. I'll have to wait until the season is over. And Shelly decided to add to that predicament even further with the TRV thermostat, this time Wi-Fi. And I have to admit I was really surprised to see one of these from Shelly. I mean, with the low power Wi-Fi motion sensor, something I covered at lunch in this video, I probably should have seen that coming, but well, they took me by surprise. And now I have this unit to talk about and look back at my Zigbee thermostats thinking, maybe I've made a mistake. My bet is that Shelly TRV is using very similar technology to the motion sensor Wi-Fi, mostly because they have a very bold claim about battery life. They advertise up to 2 years of battery life on a single charge. That's 2 heating seasons on a single charge. And frankly speaking, I'd be happy with a year of battery life, but hey, I take it. And especially that something tells me that the most Zigbee thermostats, they're not going to last the whole heating season. And as the Shelly TRV is using Wi-Fi, it doesn't require a hub, and there is not much benefit of using Zigbee battery powered thermostats because they're not acting as routers. And if you're not sure how it works, the TRV works by pressing a button on the compatible valve down and opening the flow of the hot water. Inside the box you'll also find a couple of adapters just to make the compatibility of the sensor with other valves possible, and that's pretty much it. But let's start from the beginning. The thermostat is slightly bigger and bulkier than I was expecting, and it has a bit of weight to it. However, thanks to nice design, it shouldn't really bother you and you should be able to fit it next to your radiator. In terms of user interface, it's absolutely Spartan. What you get are 2 buttons for quick adjustments, a 2-digit display, and that's pretty much it. I mean, Shelly makes it really clear that if you want to use these, you probably want to use at least a web interface, because those are Shelly devices and they do come with their own web interface that you can connect to, or use Android or iPhone app instead. Don't worry too much, you'll be still able to adjust the temperature or the percentage of the valve being open on the fly using the buttons, but the interface, it is clunky, and yeah, it's all about that smart automation with Shelly TRVs. To charge the 6500 mAh battery inside, you use the USB Type-C plug. Nice, finally. Thank you, Shelly, you're very nice. And next to it you'll find a small hole that exposes the temperature sensor. I mean, I don't expect these to be particularly accurate, mostly because they're gonna be next to the radiator. It's working. It stopped working. Yeah, unless you have a head next to it, you're not going to hear it. even with the valve installed. So now that you know everything on the outside, let's examine how it works. Now it's clear I couldn't connect mine to actual radiators, I was doing a dry testing with a valve in here, and so far I'm really pleased. The first thing that you'll have to do is just obviously mount the TRV to your valve and then calibrate it. By calibration I mean that the thermostat will perform auto calibration and figure out how deeply it has to press the valve to open it. The better the valve or newer and easier to press, the better it's going to be for your battery life. With that said, I've been having it connected to that test valve for I think roughly 3 weeks now, and I went down from 100 to 99%. So far the battery life is looking good, especially that the thermostat was opening and closing at least twice a day. But you're not here to have a lesson about plumbing, you're here to have a lesson about smart automation, so we probably should talk about it. I've mentioned that you can either load up the web interface or go to Shelly app to control the TRV. And in there we're going to find a lot of exciting options, and this is where I'm super excited about this device because, well, it did things quite well. So the first thing that Shelly TRV does well is it's allowing you to add external sensors, wireless external sensors, and they can publish their own information back to the thermostat, which is super useful. Now that option wasn't really available on my TRVs from Zigbee, and I had to write my own script in Node-RED to account for this, so I don't know, has Shelly been inspired by me? Anyway, you can watch that video in here if you're interested. So that's all good, especially if you have a Shelly temperature and humidity sensor. Just plug it somewhere in a reasonable distance from the radiator and it will supply the correct temperature to the thermostat, allowing thermostat to self-calibrate. Awesome. Another cool thing is that TRV will let you control its valve in two ways. You can either set the set point temperature and make the thermostat do it for you, or you can define the value of the valve, so you can select the percentage of the valve being pressed down. So if you're hoping to have a more direct control over the thermostat functionality, Shelly exposed that as well. In addition to TRV, you can also create your own kind of virtual thermostat by hooking up one of the Shelly relays and pairing it with a temperature sensor. That way you can connect that relay to your actual boiler and create a virtual thermostat which is gonna work in pairs with your TRV. That's pretty awesome, and they're setting themselves up for a really nice ecosystem. Especially that the second part of this is even more exciting. As Shelly's being Shelly, it opened up the controls to MQTT and REST, which means you'll be able to obtain that information from TRV and send it over MQTT or REST API. If you, like me, a fan of Node-RED, you'll be able to get the information from this particular TRV, send it to Node-RED and do whatever you want and ping it back. While I was able to read the telemetry data from the TRV and import it to Node-RED, especially via MQTT, I haven't figured out quite yet how to control the thermostat, and as the device is in a pre-release, there isn't much in terms of documentation just yet, so you'll have to bear with me on that one. But what I can tell you is that every hour you're going to receive a default update giving you all the telemetry from the thermostat, and every time there is a change, so whether the thermostat adjusts itself because of a temperature or you requested a change on the thermostat will issue additional payloads as well. So your Node-RED instance or Home Assistant instance is going to be up to date at all times. As the Shelly Cloud integration is really optional on these things because you can use it via LAN only and don't bother with cloud at all, once connected to cloud you'll obviously get control of a voice assistant coming from Alexa or Google Home. In addition to that, you'll be able to link it to a room and have proper thermostat control in your app. Shelly TRV shape up to be really exciting devices for anyone interested in DIY home automation thanks to the integrations. Whether you're going to use MQTT, REST API or webhooks, which are going to be triggered on temperature changes or valve percentage opening, that's up to you. But you will be in control at all time, whether you're using Shelly Cloud or whether you're using local Arya network. Once the proper documentation is out, I'll spend some extra time with it and try to figure out how to properly control it via MQTT or REST API, so that way you can link it up to your either home automation running on Home Assistant or Node-RED. we've covered pretty much everything apart from pricing. On launch, this is gonna cost you €59.99, with additional discounts being available if you're going to buy a pack of 2 or 4 units. It is not the cheapest TRV out there, and you could get 2 or 3 Zigbee modes thermostat, which would make a big difference. However, in terms of connectivity and what is on offer, it's a very tempting choice, even if you have to spread out the cost of your automation over several months. So here's the tip from myself. As the winter is almost over in the northern hemisphere and the heating season is about to end as well, if you're interested in Shelly TRVs and you find them slightly outside of your budget, then consider this. Every month buy yourself a 1 or 2 units and keep on buying them throughout the summer seasons. That way, by the end of the year, before the new heating season starts, chances are your house is going to be very well equipped in Shelly TRVs, and by splitting the cost into multiple months, especially if you're getting paid monthly, it's not going to hit your pocket as much. So guys, if you are interested, then well, in the description of this video you're gonna find a link to that Shelly TRV. Gonna include the link to the article for the Zigbee ones, just so you could compare one with another. So guys, if you're excited about that follow-up via MQTT, then well, you know how YouTube works. I'm not going to explain you that, but do follow me on social media because that's the best way to keep in touch and get snippets of the project in progress. As for now, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.